Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I want to talk about Anthony Joshua for a little bit because I'm kind of curious about something. Maybe you can leave your comments and give me your opinions and help me out here because I'm a little, and I always have been, a little perplexed as to why Joshua gets a lot of hate, especially in Britain. And he's dismissed as being, a hype job, no real talent and all the rest of it. Look, Joshua is a talented fighter. I have never thought that he is the best heavyweight in the world. I've always thought that potentially, Fury is. I don't think he's proved it outright, but I think he's got better wins on his resume than Joshua has, but not many of them, if you know what I mean. But I've always respected Joshua more because despite his kind of limitations, psychologically as well as technically, he's gone and he's picked up the belts early on in his career. I know he was an Olympic champ and everything. You can make an argument for him having lost at least one of those fights in the Olympics, definitely. But he picked up the IBF belt early on, took a gamble, and then learnt on the job and ducked no one. He fought all his mandatories, and that I respect enormously. Whereas Fury has cherry-picked, chopped and changed, talked a load of crap. Joshua is dull, I think, to listen to, very dull. But I've never found Fury to be particularly entertaining either. Outside of the ring, I mean. Inside of the ring, yeah. Both guys, I like watching them. But I don't quite understand how a guy who's done that, and who is a two-time heavyweight champ and has unified belts, and was essentially ducked, why he gets so much heat. Now, I know he's said some controversial things outside of the ring, racially fueled and so on. Some people don't like that. Okay. But let's talk about him as a boxer. Let's just concentrate on him as a boxer. I don't see how you can really knock his record. Oh, okay, he's been beaten. But is there any disgrace in going 24 rounds with Alexander Usyk, who is a brilliant, you could almost call him a fistic maestro. You could call him a fistic maestro. That's what he is. And I think if you compare Joshua to, let's say, Deontay Wilder, who is another guy who had a long run as a world champ, in inverted commas, until he bumped into Fury, I don't think there's any comparison. I think Joshua's record, his resume, stands up far, far better than Wilder's. Now, recently, Joshua and Wilder were supposed to be in negotiations, and it's fallen through, and Malik Scott's come out and said he knows he doesn't want the fight because he knows he's made stylistically for Deontay. Look, I think there is something to what people are saying about Joshua's team. Not so much Joshua, although he is someone who strikes me as really lacking a lot of confidence right now. His team aren't really keen on that fight. They see it as too dangerous at the moment, and they probably want Joshua to bed in a bit more with Derek James and work on some stuff more, and have another couple of fights. I think that's a good idea. If I was in charge of Joshua's career, I would swerve Wilder for now. I wouldn't have swerved him 5 years ago when Wilder's team swerved Joshua with that $110 million DAZN offer. And make no mistake about it, I've heard people try to spin this, that Joshua ducked Wilder then. No, he didn't. All the evidence, if you're being completely objective about this, points towards, I'm not going to mention the fighters, but their teams, Shelley Finkel, Deontay Wilder's team, avoiding Matchroom and Joshua's team. Okay? But now, if I was in, because we are where we are and Joshua is where he is, I don't think the Wilder fight is a particularly good fight. And I don't, or a particularly, safe's the wrong word, but I think it's a fight where, there's a very realistic chance Wilder would knock out Joshua. Now, why do I say that? Because if you think about it, all the heat that AJ has got, Wilder gets none of it. But never mind the past record of Wilder. We can leave that aside, the fact that he was WBC champ and fought a load of nobodies, and somehow Bermain Severn was his mandatory, and he fought, I don't know, all these sort of guys who were somehow ranked in the top 10 and didn't really need to be. Come on, it was just a very protected run. Was it 9, 10, 11 fights for the WBC title before he lost to Fury. About 9, was it? He was protected. The opponents were cherry-picked. They were low-level guys. A couple of them gave him some problems. You know, even Eric Molina gave him some problems. But Arthur Spilker was another one. You know, it's hard to believe it, but this guy who was this killer puncher, who was the WBC heavyweight champion, these people were plucked out of the air for him. And yes, he got rid of them all eventually, but not without some problems. So his team knew that he had technical limitations, quite strong ones, but he had a lot of power, so he has to be manoeuvred, managed and navigated well. Joshua didn't do that. Joshua fought for the belts, he unified them, apart from the one that Wilder had, and he fought all his Mandos. When the Fury fight fell through, because the third Wilder-Fury fight was made, who did Joshua look towards? Alexander Usyk. You can't accuse him of ducking, and then he went into the rematch. Look, Wilder gets no heat whatsoever for that record. But more importantly, if we're talking about the present, he's only fought Robert Helenius for less than a round since that first Fury fight. That's it. And this guy is in his late 30s. I think that's... And yet he gets no criticism virtually. There's all this talk, well, he might fight Ruiz, and Ruiz wants too much money, and then Ruiz comes out and says it, and Malik Scott saying, oh, he wants to fight. Well, look, the proof of the pudding's in the eating, as the old cliche goes. You got to step up to the plate. The one thing you can say about Joshua, as psychologically fractured as he looks, is that he's keeping busy. He fought Jermaine Franklin, he fought Helenius. There was that debacle with White failing the drug test, and then Helenius took the fight and he failed a drugs test. But that's not Joshua's fault. Joshua seems to want to fight. And he was talking about having a fight before the end of the year. I don't know whether that'll happen now, but probably not. But he, he's been keeping busy at the very least. Okay, so the criticism for Wilder is not in any shape or form held to the. It doesn't come from the same set of standards, the same criteria as the criticism for Joshua. But I still think Wilder would be a favourite against Joshua because of his mentality, because he is delusional. And self-belief can make you do immense things. It can elevate you to the point where you actually will walk through walls, or dare I say it, fly planes into buildings, or it will. You'll walk on hot coals. You'll chew crushed glass. If self-belief and having a motivation, bloody-mindedness to the point of delusion is a hell of a weapon. It can get you so far. And if you want evidence, look at Wilder against Fury. I mean, just the third fight alone. I mean, he showed guts by the bucket in the second fight, but in the third fight, you really had to glue him to the canvas to stop him from getting up, which is what Fury eventually did. But the guy is a fighting man, and he is extremely courageous and extremely confident, and therefore, I make him a big, big threat to Joshua. Again, I've slightly digressed because this video is really about why does Anthony Joshua get so much heat from the public? Why is he held to a far higher standard than Deontay Wilder? Why is Deontay Wilder given a free pass on so many things? You'd think Wilder's fans would be saying, Christ, this guy's, was he 38 now? He needs to be fighting regularly. Or, when I say regularly, I mean twice a year is regular nowadays, isn't it? But he hasn't fought since Helenius. And, what's he working on? Have we seen any evidence of it? He's not doing anything. Yeah, so tell me your answers. You give me your opinions. Why is Joshua... why does he get so much criticism, especially in Britain, from people? And I know the Fury fanboys are going to hate on him, and I'm not even including them. Forget about them; they don't even count. But from people who claim to be supposedly objective, why does he get so much criticism? Let me know in the comments below. Like I say, I'll answer your comments. I'll read them and answer them. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button, and as always, thank you for your time. Bye for now.